All right, man. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about Tua?
Mike McDaniels went from the next big Bill Belichick to maybe like his job being in question with that whole quarterback, how he's handling his star player,
And
his whole press conference was kind of like the Twilight Zone, it's like do 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 like fuck
I didn't
like
like how he was talking about the specialized that specializes in specialty of brain matter. Like I felt like he was a little over the top there. Like, come on, man, just
yeah,
kind of
making
say,
making making
hey,
light
just
of
kind of
it,
make he was. So I
making
think that was kind of an issue for me. But
You know, I
how
thought I
the whole
was I thought I was being a dick when I wasn't watching the TV. I was smoking a cigarette outside my family's bar, and and you said Tua's down, and I was like, oh, he broke his dick. So I just want to apologize to
that was
Tua.
messed up, man.
I
That
didn't
was
see
cool.
I didn't see the play. I didn't see the play. I didn't see him getting carted off. I was outside smoking, and so I was just that's my like default joke when someone goes down, like, Coach, I broke my
Yeah.
dick. So I just wanted to apologize to Tua.
Sorry to I said sorry. I didn't mean to.
So I'm the asshole. But that
So
was that's like Tua's like fourth. Like he broke his hip in college. He's
mhm.
had what was his injury last year? Like he had concussion last year. Like in
Yeah,
2 weeks in a row, he
he's been
might have
knocked out
had
a couple of times that I've
two
seen.
2 weeks in a row, he might have had a concussion. Like
Yeah, I mean, they're
it
supposed
kind
to
of
wait at least 5 days for the protocol. So, I mean, the fact that they didn't say he had a concussion and then they didn't wait, they put him back in, he gets another concussion. I mean,
I
it's going to
mean,
be a reckoning for sure. So we'll see
yeah,
what
it's like
happens.
it's like back injury, you're like reaching for your back, and but he
Yeah,
was
that
just
was
he
that
was
was
just,
BS.
he
He
was
was
just,
dizzy. He
yeah,
hit his head on the turf. He had the same thing happen yesterday. It
yeah.
was he literally got flipped back, hit his head. That
Both
time
times
though,
he
he
hit
was
his head.
dizzy.
Both times he
Yeah,
hit his head on the
whiplash.
turf.
It was
And
whiplash backwards, and then
remember the Detroit running back from Cal against the
Javad
49ers?
Javad Best.
Yeah, remember
Mm-hmm.
the 49ers in that game, the linebacker pushed his head to the turf, and that was
Yeah,
the end of his career.
yeah, he was
His
done.
career was
Yeah,
over because he had.
yeah,
I was at that game where Javad Best jumped in the end zone and he got fucking head on his head, and it was like
yeah.
a
I
ten
remember that.
minute. It was like a 10 or 20 minute stoppage because they had to
Yeah,
bring the card out and like that was like the one Cal game I went to against USC, and I was just like, oh shit, like
yeah.
like head injuries isn't something to fuck around with,
No,
and
definitely not.
and Mike McDaniel is just joking about it. Like
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
kind of mad
That
that
was not cool.
I was kind of mad the 49ers didn't like fire Kyle Shanahan and hire him, but there's a line that you don't cross trying to win games, and that's the health of your star quarterback. That should be the
Yeah,
line. That should be the do not cross this line. And
yeah,
and it's like a Thursday night football game against Cincinnati, who's 1-2, like, and they
yeah. They
lost
probably could have won
anyways.
that game with Bridgewater.
Yeah,
You
if
know,
if they gave him a full week's, well, there was no practice time, but
I mean, Tua was short on a couple of throws to Tyreek. He Tyreek like was going deep every play, but he couldn't get enough air into the ball. He couldn't
yeah,
get he that
and
was like
Teddy,
two plays. He threw it short, the interception, and then there was another play too.
yeah, and
Bridgewater barely got it there too. I mean, he had that on that
Teddy
64.
Teddy heaved it out, and
Yeah.
at least he, like, Tua probably couldn't have made that throw. You know,
Yeah, Tua doesn't have the arm strength. I
yeah.
mean, everybody was saying, "Oh, he's got the arm strength," but man, he throws it short a lot. But
That one throw he did against to was it Giseki, like over, like in between like five people.
yeah,
That was that was his best throw of the game, I think. And then, like, I don't know if it was Giseki or Waddle. I'm not sure who it was, but there was like literally five defenders around him. He had to throw over the linebacker in between like all the defenders, and he fit it in perfectly. But then, um, I don't know. After that, he didn't really do much before the injury, and then
yeah, he missed Tyreek on a bunch of throws. I mean, McDaniel's offense is a good offense. I mean, clearly it's from the mold of the Shanahan offense. I mean, except he actually throws it deep.
Yeah.
something that we haven't seen with the Niners. So do you want to segue here to the Niners? And what do you think about the Garoppolo versus Trey Lance and how Shanahan, speaking of how he handled the whole situation in the
Oh,
offseason?
with Trey Lance and Garoppolo?
Yeah. What do you think
I don't
about that?
know. After the first game, I dropped Trey Lance from like 5 fantasy football teams. I was like, I kind of saw the writing on the wall. I was like, this isn't gonna end well.
Yeah.
I was even though I didn't have like some teams I had him and Justin Herbert, and some teams I just had him, and I
Yeah.
was just like, I'm just gonna have to stream quarterbacks because like this doesn't look good. First quarter of the next game, he gets knocked out, and it's like I
Garoppolo
don't.
came in. He looked good,
Gar-
right? In that first game. It was
the
like,
first
okay,
game, Garoppolo
throwing it deep.
looked
He's letting
great.
him kind of do it. I think it's because he didn't have the playbook. You know what I mean? Like, so he didn't practice. So it was kind of like all on adrenaline. And
Yeah.
then last week, it was like you give him a week to prepare.
Last week it was
And
all about Garoppolo, like Garoppolo this, Garoppolo that. Like the whole
yeah,
show was about Garoppolo and the
then
whole
he stunk.
the whole drama. And
But I think
he
the play
missed
calling was
he,
terrible. He
I don't
missed a
know,
lot of throws behind the
that
receivers.
one pass that he missed to Debo, that would have been like a 60, like 40,
Yeah, that
50
would have been
yard.
a touchdown.
That
Yeah,
would
that
have
would
been
have
a
been a touchdown.
touchdown. Like he
He
had
had pressure coming from his throwing side. Like two guys are coming. So he kind of like he didn't
there's
step into
always
the
pressure in
throw,
the NFL. The
which he doesn't do. He doesn't
Yeah,
step into the throws. He's always throwing off his back foot. Like I think
I
one
think
thing to be
he
said about Garoppolo is his footwork is terrible. I mean, he gets the ball out quick, but he's always throwing off his back foot, and he's never getting any. He's not following through with the
Yeah, you
throw.
did
So
mention that he's throwing off his back foot the whole game,
yeah,
and and they should have easily won that game. They had
they
control of
should have.
they
That was
had control.
ridiculous. The fact
They
that
had
they lost that game,
their
they should really
defense.
be 3-0. I mean, the fact that they lost to the Bears the way they did, I like was watching that Bears game. I was like, there's no way they're gonna lose to the Bears. They were like dominating. The Bears had like literally they get one play and it was like it threw them off. And then Lance throws the interception. They don't go for it
Yeah,
on fourth down. It's just like, oh man, Shanahan and his decision making. What do you think about his decision making? I feel like as a game manager, let's say, as a coach, when he's calling timeouts, how aggressive he is, his play calling in general. Like, what do you think about that?
I think he's actually better with Garoppolo in quarterback than he was doing with Lance. I think he's a really little bit reckless with his quarterbacks, like having them run a lot, and that Trey Lance injury could have been like that was a design run, that was a design read option, and so it's like, and then he the same game he runs Garoppolo near the goal line, like
Yeah.
we have Debo,
Yeah.
we
He
have Jeff
starts running
Wilson
Garoppolo
on the goal
quarterback
line,
options.
like you saw
Yeah. It wasn't
Carson
the
Wentz.
sneak. I mean, the sneak is like that's a normal quarterback play. I don't have a problem with the
No, but
sneak.
the
It was
one
more the
on
play before that where
yeah,
he had the option and
yeah,
he ran it up in there and like got crushed. It was like,
yeah.
dude, what are you doing? You just lost Trey Lance on basically a halfback power where you ran him up the middle and he gets crunched,
I
breaks his
know.
ankle, and now you're
I,
running
I
Garoppolo.
was
I mean,
watching
Garoppolo
that.
is not that tough a dude.
I was watching that. I
He'll
was
get hit
like,
one time in a way and he'll crumble.
yeah,
Like he's like he toughed it out last year. I'll give him that, like with the thumb and the shoulder. But his history, he's always gotten injured, whether it be his ankle injury a few years ago or the knee where he tried to take on the guy going out of balance and he like, tore his ACL. It's
yeah,
just like so, Garoppolo's got his issues. So I think
yeah,
he shouldn't be running him for sure.
yeah. Like,
So I just think
especially,
his game management is under question. Like when he calls certain things and when to go for it. I mean, he had so many opportunities to go for it on fourth down and kind of just put the game away, get them like when they're at like their 40 of the Broncos, like multiple times in that game. It was like literally he didn't want to go for it one time. Even when he kicked that field goal in the fourth quarter, it was like, dude, why are you kicking a field goal here? Like to go up 5, like what is that going to do? I mean, I know then a field goal doesn't beat you, but man, go for the end of the game here. Get a first down. It's 4th and 1. Then, if you score a touchdown there, the game's over. But they basically gave Russell Wilson that one last chance. He drove down, got the touchdown. He made those plays that he always makes against the Niners, right? And then that was it.
Yeah.
Game over. Garoppolo throws a
I had
terrible interception.
I had no faith that they were going to come back after that.
Yeah, right? It was like, dude, and then they got the ball back twice. And then, I mean, granted, that wasn't all sides. The guy jumped early. They had definitely reason to be upset. And then Jeff Wilson fumbles, and that's it. Game over.
Game over, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about fantasy football now, because, I know that's your thing, right? So fantasy football, you have how many teams this year?
I signed up for 2 more, so I have 34. four are personal leagues, and then all the other ones are Yahoo Public. I traded for Amon St. Brown in like 10 leagues, so I'm like,
you really love that guy. Well, he's a good player, man. I mean,
he's out though.
Oh, now he's out. He's out this week.
Yeah.
So Josh Reynolds. Then that's the pickup. That's your pickup of the week. Are you picking up Richie James? Who's your pickup of the week?
I don't know. Josh Reynolds is
go Matt Collins.
I like Craig Reynolds.
Craig Reynolds. That's a good play. That's a good play because DeAndre Swift's going to be out this week too, right?
Yeah, in a lot of those leagues, I traded Swift for Amon St. Brown, and Swift got hurt, and then Amon St. Brown's out. So I don't know. It was like, but I had Jamal Williams in a lot of those leagues, so I was like, I'll just trade Swift, and I still have Williams, and then, yeah. So
what do you think about my trade? I made a trade in our league this week. I don't know. Am I in trouble? I traded. So the trade is Alvin Kamara and DeAndre Hopkins. So for James Robinson and Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I have to ask for the doctor to check you for concussion protocol after that trade, because Alvin Kamara hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything. The New Orleans Saints, Jameis is looking like not good, and the whole Saints offense isn't looking good, except for the receivers. That's the only thing you can play because they're always behind, so they're just passing the ball. So
I think it's going to change this week. So I'll tell you why I think that. So I was looking at the numbers. Kamara's getting the volume. So he had 7 targets, and he had about, I want to say 17 rush attempts last week. He only got 7 points, but he did fumble. And Jameis missed a ton of those. He only caught like 2 balls out of the 7 targets.
Yeah.
So this week it looks like that Jameis is going to be out, and then who knows how long he's going to be out. But they're going to start Andy Dalton, and I think Andy Dalton is a better quarterback at like kind of just making the right plays. He's not going to try to air it out. He's going to try and kind of do the dump offs when he does it. And they're going to probably design more of the plays to go to Kamara. Michael Thomas is going to be out this week too. So they got a lot. So I'm thinking Kamara is going to be kind of the focal point of their offense moving forward. And James Robinson, he's a great story, but he's coming off a torn Achilles. And man, if he gets this kind of workload all year, I don't know if he's going to be able to handle that. I'm a little worried about that long-term. So that's why I made the move. And then plus I got DeAndre Hopkins. I got to wait a couple of weeks to get him into my lineup. But I think once he's in there, I mean, he's going to be soaking up the targets from Kyler. I mean, he's probably going to get getting 10 to 12 targets a game.
That was the main issue I had with the trade, is like you're giving up Robinson, and I've been targeting Robinson in trades, and I traded for him in like 5 or 6 leagues.
I'm taking a calculated risk here because I mean Robinson is a great pick. I mean, I got him in like the 10th round. He's been my best running back, but I'm taking the risk here early. We'll see if I can get the returns late. So
he's being redrafted like higher than Kamara.
Yeah, he is. He's like top 10 running back right now. So yeah, it's a risky move, but I figured he is in a timeshare with Etienne, and he's coming off the Achilles. I just don't know. I feel like he's started off really hot, and I don't know how good the Jaguars are going to be the rest of the year. I know it's a little magic in the beginning of the year, but they got a tough matchup this week.
I'm all in on Duval County. I picked up Zay Jones, and I got Christian Kirk in a few leagues, and
nice.
I got Christian Kirk in our league, I think, and so
Yeah, Christian Kirk. That was the difference in our match last week. So they're at the goal line. It's like first and goal at like the 4 or the 3. And James Robinson first down, gets like a yard or two, doesn't get in. And the next play, Christian Kirk scores a touchdown on a short out pattern in the flat. So, and literally you beat me, I think, by 9 points.
Yeah.
So if Robinson would have got the touchdown instead of Kirk, that would have been a 12-point swing there. So
yeah,
6 less for you, 6 more for me, and that's the game right there. Just the goal line.
I do want
to
mention about fantasy football. I'm kind of famous for making the horrible trades, and still my team still end up like getting in the playoffs and stuff.
Yeah, you're the master of the wire. That's why.
Yeah. And
the wire master.
2 years ago, I traded Derrick Henry in all my leagues because they were talking about canceling the Titans games because they had COVID. The whole team had COVID.
Oh yeah,
I was like, I made, and he got like 2,000 yards. Last year, I traded Jonathan Taylor after 3 games because he like had 10 carries inside the 10-yard line and no touchdowns. I was like, oh my God, like I sell too fast, and I fuck myself and
jump the gun.
And I've been a lot better about not my trades in these public leagues always like cause a stir, like I give up too much for like getting back a targeted player like Cordero Patterson or James Robinson or whatever.
Hey man, but some of those players though, you go for the goal. You have a good instinct about that. So
yeah, a lot of those
your moves are usually work out for you.
So
we'll see what happens this year.
We'll see. But as far as Shanahan, let's get back to Shanahan and I don't know if he, without Mike McDaniels, is able to run the ball as effectively. Mm-hmm. I know people are out and Debo's getting some carries and doing some success, but Jeff Wilson isn't really, doing that well. He had a fumble last game, and I just feel like late in the game, Shanahan just abandons the run. Mm-hmm. That Super Bowl in 2016 when we were watching the game in my parents' basement and 3rd and 1, I'm screaming at the TV, run, and he fucking goes back to pass. He gets fucking fumble, return mm-hmm. for like 50 yards, and that was the game. If they got a field goal there, the game's over.
Yeah, his play selection in-game management, it's just horrific. He's got a terrible track record. I mean, that year that they went to the Super Bowl, I mean, you look back at the games they lost and some of the decision makings in those tight games, especially when they have the lead or they're going to be able to take the lead, he gets tight. And a lot of people, what I've heard is he coaches scared. And, like that's not a good label. And it's true. You can see that. Like you'll see in the 2-minute drill, he gets the ball back in the Super Bowl with, a couple minutes, like just under 2 minutes left in the first half. And they're running these running plays and they're not like pushing the ball. And then he gets a pass to Kittle and then Kittle gets called with that bogus offensive PI, which was bogus. Yeah. But they didn't give themselves enough time to get down the field and score a touchdown because they could have. And just stuff like that. He's just not aggressive enough, I think. And he plays way too conservative. He coaches scared almost, and like to not lose,
especially
and then he loses,
especially when he's behind. When he's behind, he your strength is running the ball. There's 2 minutes left in the Super Bowl. Like Mostert is like tearing it up, like mm-hmm. And it's like
and he throws
on second and like 7, like or whatever it was, like
throwing a bomb.
Yeah, it's like
to Emmanuel Sanders.
Mostert would have got 15 yards right there. Like their
just
box
give him
like,
give him the ball. Like give Mostert the ball.
5 or 6 people.
He was
in the
so
box.
good in that postseason.
Yeah.
And then in the biggest critical time, you're up 10 in the fourth quarter and you're not giving him the ball. It's like, dude, what are you doing? And it's like he heard all the noise from the week before about Jimmy Garoppolo only attempting like a few passes against the Vikings and then a few passes against Green Bay. And it's like, dude, you didn't have to pass the ball in those games. You owned them. You were picking up 4 yards a carry. They couldn't stop you in the Vikings game. You just milked it down and the game was over. And then the Packers, I mean, Mostert just had a historic performance. It was so, it was so great. Well, you didn't need to throw the ball. So it didn't make any sense that all of a sudden now you've gotten here to this point and now you're going to try and throw the ball at the most critical point. It's like you're trying to outsmart everybody. Like, come on, dude, just do what you've been doing and you win the Super Bowl. And that was it. And it just sucks that as a Niners fan, for both of us, that we had to kind of see that when it was literally there for the Niners to win that Super Bowl. And the fact that he didn't want to run the ball. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
There's a saying, you can't be too stupid to be a football coach, but you can't be too damn smart, Yeah. And Brandon Staley of LA.
Oh, Brandon Staley. That guy.
Oh my God.
I can't stand that guy.
The Gerald Everett is begging to come out of the game, and they're hurrying it up to get an advantage of tired players. Your player that you threw to on that play, that was a 99-yard return for a touchdown.
He's calling to come out.
He's desperately trying to get out.
He couldn't even breathe.
You outsmarted
and
yourself.
You throw to him.
And that's a 14-point swing. He doesn't even try for the ball. He doesn't even attempt to come back to the ball. He's just gassed.
No, he's done. He was done. He was gassed. You're right. It's just the dumbest. These coaches sometimes, man, they just don't have any clue. It's like everybody can see it. And you're like, why are you doing something? You just think you're smarter than everybody else. But it's just sometimes you're I'm
selling all my
high percentage thing.
LA Chargers players. I'm selling all of them. I dropped
I think
Everett.
They're done. I think Herbert is way more hurt than they're letting on. I mean, he looked terrible against the Jaguars.
Yeah.
And I don't see how that improves, especially if you keep playing on it. One more hit, man, that guy's going to be toasted. So it's just like with Tua, you gotta know when to protect your player and your asset.
Yeah.
And these coaches, I don't know what they're thinking. Same thing with Shanahan running Trey Lance up the middle 4 times in the first quarter. It was like, dude, why are we even doing this at this point? You're playing against Seattle.
He was doing it hoping he gets hurt, so he goes back to Jimmy.
That was my conspiracy theory.
He might get hurt. I'm in love with Jimmy. I love Jimmy. I love me some Jimmy.
No, it really was. It was like he knew that if he kept doing it and he was reckless, he could get out of this situation. Because I think they miscalculated how ready Trey Lance was to start.
Yeah.
And with all the drama that was surrounding, they got Garoppolo back. They figured, okay, well, we got this roster. I'm sure the players in the locker room were like, why are we starting this rookie who's not ready when we've got a guy that's taken us to 2 NFC championships and a Super Bowl? So it's really hard to say, oh, hey, we're going to go with this guy because he gives us a better chance. And then you lose to the Bears, so it's like, and then they don't get Jimmy ready. They don't give him anything. And then he just stinks in Denver. And now the Niners are in trouble. They're going to have to win this week against the Rams. They're really, I honestly think this is a really big game for them. I mean, 1-3, it's the beginning of the season. They got Carolina, Atlanta, they can win those games. So they could be 3-3, but then they got the Chiefs and then they got the bye week. So, they could be 3-4. They could be 2-5, if they split with those teams.
Who they got next after the Rams?
They could be 4-3, which I'm hopeful for. If they get the Rams game and then they beat the Carolina and Atlanta, and then if they lose to the Chiefs, but I think they can beat the Chiefs. I mean, their defense is so good. They can beat anybody. They just have to have some better offensive
Jimmy's got to play better. Jimmy can't be throwing off, just like you said, his back foot. He can't be missing Debo for a 50-yard gain when you're down in the fourth quarter. It's about fourth quarter play,
Yeah.
And it's like
management of the game, the right play calling, the right situation, the right down and distance, what to do when. I feel like I feel like Shanahan needs somebody like in his ear or like a special like game management coach. Like, hey, here's
Yeah.
the situation. This is when you're going to use your timeout. This
Who's
is when
the
you're
old?
going to play this. This is where you're going to go for it.
All right, that does it for this week's episode of the PVG Football Podcast. Join us on a weekly basis. Hit subscribe on our YouTube channel and listen to all the latest football news and our fantasy football thoughts. Give you some good tips all season long. All right, see you guys later. Bye.